What's going on, everybody? I want to do a video update in respect to post-contest prep and recovering. And so it's been about 6 weeks since ending my contest prep back in May, and I did a 36 week prep. And so I went from 193 and a half pounds down to 136 was my prep low. Stage weight was around 140 to 142, so it's the lowest I've ever weighed for a contest prep, but it's the best I've ever looked. And it's the longest prep I've done too, just because I got super fluffy in the 18 months away from the stage. So I wanted to do a comparison with my labs from what I did 2 days out from my show down to just last week, so 5.5 weeks post contest. I wanted to see what kind of improvements, hopefully improvements, that I would get from being out of a contest prep, and what your body actually goes through when you go through that type of journey to the stage. A lot of times what you'll see is people will post so much or they'll talk so much about their contest prep, and then once they're done and you see the show photos and all that good stuff, you never really hear about post show, or you just hear about the struggles, the binging, the food, the food issues that people are having, the psychological side of things. But I really wanted to share more so the internal things that happen, as far as your labs go, and why you feel so drained by the end of your prep, and then you start feeling better, feeling normal after a certain period of time out of a prep. And so I have the numbers, I have the labs results that I got just this morning, and I'm just going to go over the ones that were kind of out of whack when I first got them 2 days out from my show back in May. And luckily all the numbers are looking really good. Overall, I was already starting to feel better, feeling healthy after a few weeks out of prep. But it's good to get that confirmation of the actual numbers to show it. And so I'm gonna go over first initial numbers, and I'm gonna go over the metabolic hormones, testosterone, all that good stuff. So with the lipid panel, your cholesterol, HDLs, LDLs, VLDLs, and your triglycerides, I'll share those with you, just because I don't know what happened 2 days out from that show on why my LDLs, or my bad cholesterol, was so high off the normal, that it just kind of it really surprised me. But my total cholesterol back in 2 days out from my show back in May was 385. Triglycerides were 88, HDLs were 124, VLDLs was 18, and LDLs were 243. Now I really don't know why it was 243 with the bad cholesterol, but it is what it is. I've never seen that number go above 120 for myself, even within a prep, when I've done annual physicals. And so that was very surprising. I will say that I was on a ketogenic diet, or cyclical ketogenic diet, about 13 weeks out from my show. I switched over to that, and so that makes sense why my HDLs was so dang high. I was eating tons of fat, and then I was doing a good amount of cardio as well. So those two things can definitely help improve your HDLs. And then triglycerides just makes sense with 88 being that, just because I was on a ketogenic diet, so it makes sense why I wouldn't have a lot of processed foods or processed sugars running through the system. So anyway, looking at the updated numbers, I was 232 total cholesterol, 103 HDLs, and then VLDLs was 31. LDLs were 98, so that's really good. It's even below 100, which is optimal. And my triglycerides though were 157, so it's 7 above the normal. Anything under 150 is considered healthy. So I'm not too concerned about the 7 above normal, just because I'm pretty sure I had some cake and some pancakes that day before I fasted my 12 hours. So that might have been some trace amounts, I really don't know, but not too concerned about 7 above. HDLs it was like 103, which is awesome. I know it takes some time to see these numbers change, a good amount, especially after only 5 weeks, but out of being a prep. But 103 is very surprising, just because I've never seen it above 80 outside of a prep. And so that's really good. I'm doing no cardio, but I am sticking to some plant-based fats still, MCTs. I'm still doing some olive oil. I'm doing coconut oil, and I'm still eating some good nuts like pecans, walnuts, macadamia nuts, that good stuff. So the other things that were a little bit out of alignment was my liver enzymes and my AST, ALT. So the one that was out of whack was my ALT. It was 58. It's now down to 38, so it's in the normal, so that's really good to see. No issues there. All the other labs look good, no issues. But now we're gonna get to the good stuff. This is the stuff that you obviously know that your metabolic hormones, your testosterone, even your estradiol, estrogen for males, yes, is still important. I'll get into that a little bit more, but these numbers are going to be lower the more you're dieting, the more you're in prep. This is the things that people usually discuss or usually are aware of. So I'm going to start off with the thyroid panel. So TSH, thyroxine, or T4, T3, and free thyroxine index. So 2 days out from my show, the numbers were TSH was 2.040, T4 was 5.1, T3 was 27, and the free thyroxine index was 1.4. So basically, all these numbers were still in the normal, but they were on the lower end of normal. So they weren't completely blown out of the water. But 5.5 weeks post-contest, my TSH is 2.210, my T4 is 6.6, and my T3 uptake is 28. Free thyroxine index is 1.8. So now they've all improved and getting more into the higher limits, the upper or mid range of healthy. So I'm very happy to see, but it makes sense as you're eating more, as your ability to do and function, you're going to be a lot more active outside of just training in the gym. You're just going to feel better. These numbers tend to come back up. So testosterone, so if you watched my first video and you saw or heard what my testosterone level was, my total, it was not even the charts. It was so low, so bad. It was 77.2 nanograms per deciliter. And when you hear of testosterone, 200, above 200 is considered, pretty average, pretty normal. And mine was 77. Like, it was ridiculously low. So no matter, it made sense why I was feeling the way I was feeling towards the end of my prep. I even joked around with my coaches that, hey, I'm glad I took this labs, because there's just no way that I would have been able to prep any longer. I don't know what the number would have been if I continued to prep, but now my total testosterone measured out to 430.2 nanograms per deciliter. So it's made a huge jump into more the mid-level of healthy, feeling better. So it makes sense why I feel better overall, is that these numbers are just all improving, and even on the higher end of normal for some of them. So my free testosterone was 3.6 pentagrams per milliliter. 2 days out from my show, it is now 13. So it's in the normal, it's in like the mid range of normal, which is great to see. My estradiol, so basically if estrogen, people think that it's like super bad to have estrogen, but males, it's important to have some estrogen because it is going to help out with libido. So yeah, you gotta feel good, libido, and also helps out with sperm, creation of sperm. And so it's just it helps out on all these different processes that you may not be aware of. So it is important to have some level of estrogen in your levels. Of course, if you have so much estrogen and your testosterone is very low, that's not a good thing. So mine was at 6.7 2 days out from my show, so 6.7. Now it's at 13.1. So it's in the normal. It's like on the, like, it's not the mid-range yet. The mid-range would be like in the 20s, like lower 20s. So still really good. It's in the normal, so that makes sense as far as feeling better overall. Y'all know what I mean as far as that's concerned. But IGF-1, so this is a big hitter. So IGF-1, growth factor, when I was in prep, it was 85 nanograms per milliliter. So it was on the lower, it wasn't even on the lower end. The normal was 88 and it was 85. But now mine is at 206. And the upper limit, according to this, as far as the range, is 246. So I'm only like 40 away from being like at the high end of IGF-1. So all the numbers look great. This is really good. 5.5 weeks post, show, and feeling really good. And just to have the numbers backing that up kind of gives me a very good sense of relief that when I initially got my labs done and I saw the results, it kind of freaked me out quite a bit, because my health is definitely more important than competing, being lean for, 3 days out of like 3 shows out of my entire life. That's great accomplishment. But if my health wasn't getting better after a prep, I'd be freaking out right now. So it's good to see the numbers really backing up how I've been feeling lately. So just another update, as far as nutrition and training. Nutrition, so I'm not really tracking my food. Like, I'll enter my food in throughout the course of the week. Some days I'll put everything in, some days I won't, just because I eat about the same types of foods day in and day out. But for me personally, it's been a great relief to take some time away without being so obsessive about every gram going into my body. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some great benefits to tracking your food and eating according to your macros and all that good stuff, but for me personally, I really needed to take a break after being so like anal about tracking everything and weighing out everything for the past like 3.5-4 years. And I haven't gone off the deep end, so that's good. And so what I'm doing is I'm really trying to eat more foods at home and cook, just enjoy food again, enjoy it with my wife. And I believe that for me personally, from my perspective, I believe that everyone has a set point, like where they can, no matter how much you fight against it, your body will try and put you back where you feel best, or where your baseline is, or where your homeostasis or your happy place is. And my happy place is in like the 160s, maybe the lower 170s. Like that's when I feel my best, and I can do anything and everything, within reason, and I will stay at that weight. And so that kind of just proves true, just because my wife hid the scale, because I was so obsessive with data, so with numbers, not just tracking my food, but weighing myself multiple times during the day. That is not healthy. And so that was super helpful, just to kind of stay away from that and just focus on foods, and re-exploring what I grew up eating. So anyway, I just weighed myself like a little while ago at the gym. So this is like post eating my pre-workout, post training. So it wasn't like in the morning or anything. And I believe I was like in the like 160s, like 168. So I was pretty happy about that, just because, I mean, honestly, I haven't been tracking very religiously, or very, like, everything, and so accurately. And I just feel good. It's like the amount of food that I'm eating day to day is making me feel satisfied. Like I'm able to recover, I'm able to train well, like I'm able to function. So everything is going well. And, I will change my intake based off of what my day looks like, versus set every single day at the same numbers. So that's been helpful. Training wise, I still train 4 days a week, and I'm really focusing on, still I'm doing like the main lifts, like the bench press, the deadlifts, the squats, overhead presses, and all my numbers are like skyrocketing now, like feeling really good. And then I'm also doing some hypertrophy work along with that. So each day is comprised with some more hypertrophy, so some accessory movements, a lot of volume, moving from one exercise to another. So it could be like supersets, triceps, giant sets, just to really push my body in a different direction, but still focusing on those big lifts as well, because I know with those, that's really brought up a lot of my overall weak points, and that hypertrophy work is definitely putting me in a better position to focus on the little things, the little details. But I've been enjoying training now, and it's good to go in the gym and not feel like death on your warm-ups. But you can actually push a good amount of weight, and you can really focus on muscle contraction, and just have fun with it again. So overall, everything is going according to plan. Now, will I go back to tracking certain macros and all that good stuff? Yes, I will eventually go back to tracking according to that. But right now, things are going so well with how I'm approaching food. So I cook a lot of Asian food, even Italian food at sometimes if I feel like it. But it's good to be able to have some more flexibility within discovering what foods really work for me, and being satisfied, and knowing that I'm feeling good, feeling healthy, and the data speaks for itself as well. The labs are looking really solid. So overall, things are moving in the right direction. I feel really good about how everything's coming along in respect to that. So if there's any questions, if there's any comments, please put them below. I would love to answer any questions. But I appreciate all the support that I've been receiving since like sharing this type of part of the journey. Like I said before, a lot of times you basically only see a small fragment of people's journeys when they're like in prep, deep into prep, and then the stage. You know, people see all these like glorious things, people posting all these awesome things, but being able to share like the full picture of what happens after, I think really does paint the picture that if you don't have a plan in place post show, if you don't have the support after your show, it makes it so much harder to transition appropriately. It makes it so much harder to get healthy again. My viewpoint on prepping, and when I decide to do that again, I want to be in a place where I don't have to go through the extreme that I had to this last prep. Don't get me wrong, like I know I'm gonna have to dig deep and kind of go through the grind of a prep that prep brings. I'm not trying to avoid that or evade that, because I know that's part of it but I don't want to have to go through that much of what I had to go through to the stage. You ask anybody about what things I had to do to get stage ready, and it'll blow your mind as far as like the extent that I had to go to get to where I needed to get to. So yeah, that's gonna pertain to how I train, how I keep my body weight, my body fat in check a lot better during this time, and ensure that I am getting, I'm building the right type of physique, putting on the right type of weight, versus, having to lose over 50 pounds of fat to get to where I need to get to. So, other than that, I appreciate all your support. And then I'll be doing another video for more like how I'm doing post show. Other than that, have a good one.